Our future lies in the knowledge that we are all of one people, that this earth is our mother.
Protesters continue to stand their ground in North Dakota trying to stop an oil pipeline.
It's horrible. I mean, if you ain't got enough blankets and stuff, and just recently my cart with everything on it was stolen, so I'm down to nothing again.
San Diego's homeless are getting ready for another cold night. How volunteers are trying to help. We'll have a look at the controversy over an annual parade in La Jolla.
A little bit of a costume
And a holiday
change.
tradition gets underway at Balboa Park tonight. We'll take you out to December nights.
Yeah.
KPBS Evening Edition
And then
starts
there's gotta be some
right
food,
now.
Right?
Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Ebony Monet. Nearly 5,000 homeless people in San Diego County are sleeping outside on the streets, and as cold, windy conditions are set to kick in tonight, there's an urgent need for blankets and jackets to help those without shelter. KPBS reporter Susan Murphy has more.
There shouldn't be nowhere in the world a homeless person should have to sleep out here on the streets.
With street homelessness surging and nighttime temperatures dropping to the low 40s, outreach teams are working around the clock to help people who are sleeping on sidewalks, in canyons, and under overpasses. Amy Gagno is Chief Operating Officer for the Alpha Project.
We're seeing a lot of people that are cold and in need, and it's been real tough for the team to see all this happening.
The nonprofit outreach team scours the county every day to hand out blankets, jackets, and other warm clothing. Gagno says they recently found a mother with her 2 children, ages 8 and 11, sleeping outside.
We've been reaching out to her every day since, so we've gone and touched base with her like 7 times. She's on waiting lists, and like I said, I mean, the resources need to be there to help people get off the streets immediately.
But many shelters report they are full, and St. Vincent de Paul's winter emergency shelter that contracts with the city of San Diego only opens if the temperature dips below 50 degrees and there's at least a 40% chance of rain. The most recent homeless census taken by the San Diego Regional Task Force on the Homeless shows there are nearly 800 more people sleeping on the streets compared to last year. One of those is Tanya Jasper.
Oh, it's horrible. I mean, if you ain't got enough blankets and stuff, and just recently my cart with everything on it was stolen, so I'm down to nothing again.
The Alpha Project's Amy Gagno says her team will continue efforts to keep people warm, but supplies are running low. She's asking for the public's help.
Blankets, coats, mittens, hats, scarves.
Donations can be brought to the Alpha Project's Hillcrest office on 5th Avenue. Susan Murphy, KPBS News.
We've got more information about what you can do to help on our website, kpbs.org. California's largest public employee union has called off the one-day strike that was supposed to happen on Monday. The union says they found a pathway forward in the contract dispute with the state. Nearly 100,000 state workers are members of the Service Employees International Union. The two sides are trying to come to an agreement over raises over the next 3 years. A bill backed today by the Republican-led House will prevent the Pentagon from forcing thousands of California National Guard troops to repay enlistment bonus benefits they received in error. Soldiers would only have to repay them if it can be proven they knew they weren't eligible for the bonuses. This provision was part of a more than $600 billion defense policy bill. It now goes to the Senate, where a vote is expected early next week. President-elect Donald Trump announced his pick for Secretary of Defense during a post-election victory rally in Cincinnati last night.
We are going to appoint Mad Dog Mattis as our Secretary of Defense.
The nomination of retired General James Mattis raises questions about increased military influence in a job designed to ensure civilian control of the armed forces. For Mattis to be confirmed, Congress would first have to approve legislation bypassing a law that bars retired military officers from becoming defense secretary within 7 years of leaving active duty. Mark Kansian is a retired Marine colonel who served with Mattis in Iraq and a senior analyst at the Center for Strategic International Studies in Washington. He says Mattis's appointment will be well received at the Pentagon.
As a commander, he was very aggressive and pushed very hard. But he's also a very thoughtful commander. I served with him in Iraq. You could tell that he was very well read. He thought about the issues a great deal.
Former Defense Secretary Bob Gates congratulated President-elect Donald Trump on his selection of Mattis, saying he's very supportive of his decision. President-elect Donald Trump supports completion of the disputed Dakota Access oil pipeline in the Midwest. His stance was made clear today in a memo from a Trump spokesperson to supporters. The memo also says Trump's backing for the project has nothing to do with his personal investments. Federal disclosure forms show Trump owned stock in 2 companies associated with the project. A Trump spokeswoman says it's her understanding that some of that stock has recently been sold. The hundreds of protesters fighting the Dakota Access Pipeline have shrugged off heavy snow, icy winds, and frigid temperatures. But AP reporter John Moan says if they defy next week's government deadline to abandon camp, the real deep freeze lies ahead.
Images of resistance have dominated the story of the Dakota Access Pipeline. Tanya Stans pours milk of magnesia over her face, relieving the pain after being pepper sprayed by police. She's one of thousands of ordinary people taking on corporate oil and the state of North Dakota.
Stop the pipeline. Stop the pipeline and fracking. It's polluting the water.
Stans and others do not refer to themselves as protesters. Instead, they see themselves as protectors from the Black Snake. An 1,172-mile-long pipeline winding its way across 4 states. The almost $4 billion project is nearing completion, but it needs to go under the water sources of the Standing Rock Sioux Nation. Native Americans have banded together.
Our future lies in the knowledge that we are all of one people. That this earth is our mother.
But people of various races and religions and backgrounds are there too.
Up we go.
Building an entire community.
Slow.
Chief Arvel Looking Horse is a spiritual leader for the Sioux Nation, composed of various Sioux tribes, including Standing Rock. He says the camp, called Oceti-Sakowin, stands for nonviolent resistance.
It's all over the world that people are standing to protect whatever good water we have left.
There are people at the big camp from around the country and the world. These flags represent 300 separate groups of indigenous peoples pledging their support. And the people here say they're prepared to weather a frigid North Dakota winter to prove their point.
Then we got a lining inside of it. Then we got another plastic on outside of that to keep the heat in.
The indigenous tribes and the people who have been living here have been weathering for hundreds and literally thousands of years.
And sure enough, by late November, snow blanketed the camp.
But no one's going anywhere, and that's what I find really beautiful.
Hardening resolve. Energy Transfer, the company building the pipeline, says oil is a resource which will bring jobs.
But as far as the route, that's not going to change.
The state, heavily dependent on oil revenue, is making sure the company can complete the project.
And whatever your stance is on the pipeline is, it doesn't matter. I need to enforce the law on both sides.
Mobilizing hundreds of police, heavily armed and using military-grade trucks.
That the protesters is peaceful and prayerful. It has been proven time and time again that that's not the case.
Making more than 500 arrests since protests began, detaining demonstrators like Lindsay Tarr.
Until they loaded us up onto buses to be moved out to facilities far away.
What remains are 2 competing views of the planet.
We're simply a company that builds infrastructure, acting lawfully and doing everything we're supposed to do. And we're going to build a safe pipeline, and we're going to cross the river at that location.
Mother Earth is sick and has a fever, and that's that statement that we made, is that Mother Earth is the source of life, not a resource.
A story and culture clash as old as the settlement of the Americas. John Moan, Associated Press, Cannonball, North Dakota.
Outgoing California Senator Barbara Boxer is introducing a bill related to the controversy in North Dakota. It would require the Army Corps of Engineers to get permission from tribes and communities before approving projects that might impact water supplies. Thousands of San Diegans are headed to Balboa Park tonight for the 39th annual Balboa Park December Nights. The celebration is just now getting started. Let's take a live look. It's the kickoff of December Nights, the annual holiday festival in the park. Here's a look at the scene at the Spreckles Oregon Pavilion. There's holiday lighting throughout the park and entertainment. Plus, you can get into the park's museums for free from 5 to 9. This event was originally known as Christmas on the Prado. There's a push to change another popular holiday event, this one in La Jolla, and it's been taking place for more than a half century. The 59th annual La Jolla Christmas Parade is on Sunday, but some people say it's time for the popular event to reflect the community's changing population, which includes many beliefs, not just Christianity. One of the people beating the drum is a longtime La Jolla resident, Dr. David Katz. He says a secular name is more inclusive.
This is a very, very heterogeneous community, many religions, atheists, you name it. And there are people who are offended and actually put off by having a community parade named after one religion.
KPBS reached out to the organizers of the La Jolla Christmas Parade. The president of the Christmas Parade and Holiday Festival Foundation tells us they've considered the arguments for a name change and have even held a vote, but event volunteers have unanimously decided to stick with the 59-year-old tradition, and points out the event is put on using private funds. Crime victims in California can now register on their smartphones to get email updates on criminals in state prison. Victims will be updated automatically if an offender has been released or has escaped, or even if they've been murdered behind bars. The State Corrections Department says they want to give victims more information more quickly.
A lot of victims want to know when the offender is going to be out in the community, and so they want to have real-time information available to them. They want to know where the offender is going to be on parole or probation, and they want to make contact with whoever is supervising that offender just for a peace of mind.
The new system goes online on Monday. It's been 6 months since San Diego released its Get It Done app that allows residents to report problems and request improvements. KPBS reporter Claire Tragesser has an update on the progress.
Launching in June, the Get It Done app allows you to take a picture of issues such as graffiti, broken parking meters, or trash in the street. It automatically picks up your geolocation. After filing a report, you can track the city's progress as well as look at other reports that have been filed. So far, the app has been downloaded about 10,000 times, and residents have filed just under 40,000 reports. Almas Udra, San Diego's Director of Performance and Analytics, says he's happy with the response so far, but he wanted the app to have a low profile at first.
In some ways, it was intentional to not make a big splash because we didn't want to overwhelm all of the hardworking, city employees that are actually having to process, stuff that comes in or go and fix everything.
Of the 40,000 reports, about half have been closed. The rest are either still unresolved or have been passed off to another government agency. Udra says that it takes the city 5 to 20 days to fix something like a pothole. Claire Tragesser, KPBS News.
California's water managers want to make conservation a way of life in the state. While the long drought has eased in some areas, others are entering a 6th year of extremely dry conditions. The state's working on new regulations to promote water efficiency and ban wasting water.
So while we've been doing a really good job of responding to this drought, there are parts of each urban supplier's plan, it's called an urban water management plan, is a water shortage contingency plan. Those have been around for a while, yet during this drought, we recognize as a state that they're not as consistent as we'd like them to be.
Next month, state water managers will decide whether to extend emergency conservation rules. A new report says the state's community colleges are doing a good job in getting students ready to work in the healthcare industry, but says diversity is still an issue. The report comes from the Public Policy Institute of California. It says there's plenty of diversity in the students who start programs for healthcare credentials, but not in those who finish.
African American or Latina students are less likely to actually complete their health credential that they start compared to white or Asian students.
The researchers say students are more likely to finish the programs if they get financial aid, allowing them to enroll full-time without needing to work while going to school. Today, the San Diego County Regional Airport Authority announced its first and only president will retire at the end of March. Thela Bowens has been in charge of the airport for 21 years. She led the transition of the airport operations away from the Port of San Diego to the Port Authority. She also had a hand in the expansion of Terminal 2, construction of the rental car center, and the addition of new domestic and international nonstop routes.
Kristen Gaspar and Daryl Issa finally win their seats. Will the defeat of Measure A mean changes in Sandag's leadership? When does an SDPD traffic stop become a racial incident? And many more tents going up on downtown sidewalks. All this and more on the Roundtable tonight at 8:30.
Taking another live look at December nights out at Balboa Park. This is the first night of the annual event with entertainment and holiday lights throughout the park. It's going on until 11 o'clock tonight. Then it continues tomorrow from noon until 11 p.m. As most of us know, December nights is often a nightmare to get to by car with a lot of traffic and congestion and parking in short supply. But this year, a group of bicycle enthusiasts is urging people to leave their cars at home and ride a bike instead. The group rode to Balboa Park earlier this evening on electric bikes, which can make it easier to take on those steep hills. Ed Clancy coordinated the ride. He says it's a lot easier to get to December nights on 2 wheels instead of 4.
There's a bicycle corral that's set up within the park, and you can park your bike and walk in. It's healthy, it lowers emissions, and what we're doing here today is about the new technologies in rider visibility and the experience on being on e-bikes and using this new helmet that illuminates your ride. It's the Lumos helmet, so it's about safety, active transportation, and healthy choices.
Clancy says cyclists should always follow basic safety rules when biking to December nights. Watch out for cars, and if you can, bike in groups. Clear skies and lots of sunshine for San Diego this weekend, but at nighttime, temperatures will barely inch past freezing in some places. Brittany Boyer has tonight's forecast.
The windy conditions continue this evening across San Diego County. We actually have a wind advisory continuing here as we get into your Saturday afternoon, 2 o'clock. That wind advisory continues till, and up until then, we could have gusts up to 50 miles per hour. So if you drive a high-profile vehicle, make sure you are using caution. Your forecast for tonight, staying breezy early. We'll start to see the winds tapering off late in the day on Saturday. Temperatures right around 46 degrees under clear skies. Temperatures will be staying a little bit on the cool side for some spots tonight. Oceanside temperatures just a couple degrees above that freezing mark. And in Alpine, temperatures right around 38 degrees. You notice we'll have clear skies, so not really getting that blanket from the clouds, so temperatures will really start to tumble as we head into the overnight hours. We have high pressure in place. That'll allow for some cooler conditions across the 4 corners. And what that means for our area as we head into your weekend, it's looking nice and bright with plenty of sunshine. Getting into next week, we'll start to see a dip in the jet stream, and that dip in the jet stream will allow for some cooler temperatures to start moving into California. Looking at the rest of the country, we are looking at some snow into upstate New York, around the Great Lakes. In the southeast, they've had quite a bit of severe weather. They will be getting some more rain through next week. So for us, that area of high pressure, as I said, going to keep things nice and bright. Here's a look at your 5-day 5-day outlook for the coastal areas. Lots of sunshine on the way on Saturday. Maybe you have to do some holiday shopping. You have great weather this weekend to do that. Sunday temperatures still in the 70s. And then as we get into early next week, we'll cool things off just a bit. And you'll have some partly sunny skies on Monday, 68, 66 degrees, and some sunshine on your Tuesday. We go inland, temperatures nice and warm this weekend, 73, and sunny on Saturday, 76 on your Sunday. And then once again here, we'll be seeing temperatures dropping off as we head back to work and school on Monday. We're right near 70 degrees. Tuesday, 67, partly sunny, and staying nice and sunny as well through Wednesday. The mountain forecast, cool temperatures, but we'll see an improvement with temperatures Sunday climbing to near 60 degrees. Monday, we're in the mid-50s, and getting into Tuesday and Wednesday, we'll cool things back down into the 40s. Looking at the desert as we get into your week, we have a nice weekend. Heading back to work on Monday, we're at 72 degrees with clouds and sunshine. Into Tuesday, temperatures right around 70 degrees and partly sunny. So hopefully you enjoy this high pressure that's providing us with lots of sunshine this weekend. For KPBS News, I'm Brittany Boyer.
I'm Judy Woodruff. On the next news hour, our correspondent on the ground in Cuba reports as the country comes out to mourn its longtime leader, Fidel Castro. That's Friday on the PBS NewsHour.
This is a big weekend for the San Diego State Aztecs. They're playing in their conference championships tomorrow. KPBS's Matt Hoffman has more on the upcoming matchup.
The San Diego State football team is headed to Wyoming tomorrow to take on the Cowboys in the Mountain West Conference Championship game. The Aztecs are looking to capture their second consecutive Mountain West title. This has been a big season for the Aztecs. They've been nationally ranked in the Associated Press Top 25 poll. They also have one of the best running backs in the country in Donnell Pumphrey. But the Aztecs have hit a rough patch. They're currently on a 2-game losing skid. They lost to Wyoming 2 weeks ago, and tomorrow they'll play them again. We talked to some San Diego State students ahead of tomorrow's game.
Sports is good like that. You get to have a little revenge. I think it's going to be motivating for the boys. I think they're going to win. You got Pumphrey's in the Heisman talk. Penny's having a really good year. It's just really excitable time to be a Aztec right now.
I live in the dorms, so we have a lounge that we're all going to be watching it in. Everyone on our floor, everyone in our building, like cheering them on. It's going to be really fun.
Not even just the athletes, but the non-athletes, like everybody, like they just want everybody to be successful, and it's something amazing. And it's a new day. Anything can happen, and hopefully we come out playing hard.
Tomorrow's game kicks off at 4:45 on ESPN. For KPBS News, I'm Matt Hoffman.
When you think of alcoholic products from the Midwest, you probably think of beer. You might think of wine, and now some vineyards want you to think of hard cider. Jack Williams of Harvest Public Media explains.
In the rural countryside of southeast Nebraska, John and Tim Merman think they're onto something big. They run Glacial Till Vineyard, but are also trying their hand at something new for this area. They're producing thousands of gallons of hard apple cider.
So these are basically our kind of primary fermentation tanks. Cider's very similar to winemaking. I mean, everything's pretty much the same as far as clarifying it, also as far as fermenting it. You know, beer, wine, and cider for fermentations go, they're all very similar.
For Glacial Till, the hard cider process starts here at this cider mill about a half hour from the winery. This is where they get their apple juice.
Kimmel Orchards is doing, I feel like, the hard work, because pressing that juice is so much work. I mean, it's pretty grueling days. We're skipping that step. We actually start with the juice, and it's a whole lot easier.
Kimmel Orchard is seeing more of that hard work, and they say it's because of the increased demand for hard cider.
The first year that we were here, I think we did 12,000 gallons, and last year we hit, it was just shy. I mean, we're talking a couple gallons short of 20,000 gallons, and then this year we're going to be right up there again. John Merman up at Glacial Till, he called me, that was 3-4 years ago, just wanting a small test batch, and that's what most people do. With him, he's had a really good success with it.
When this raw apple cider gets back to Glacial Till, it ferments for up to a month in 2,000-gallon tanks. The alcohol content usually ends up at around 4 to 7%. A variety of flavors are also added here.
We've done hibiscus ginger, we've done a dry hopped one, we've also done a hopito. The hopito is mint leaves and hops.
After the cider is carefully tested and filtered several times, it's clarified in what are called bright tanks, where it's chilled and carbonation is added. It's then put into kegs and sent out to local bars, farmers markets, and Glacial Till's tasting room.
We started off as a winery, and the cidery grew pretty rapidly, and now we're almost double the production of what we've done in wine.
The Midwest isn't known for hard apple cider. Glacial Till is one of only a handful of wineries in Nebraska producing it, and they only started because of a bad grape year in 2014 that left extra capacity. Now, hard apple cider could be a big part of Glacial Till's future.
It's kind of crazy to see that people have tried it at festivals or bars and are calling us to see if they can get it.
Hard cider has seen a jump in popularity over the past few years. Although its growth has started to slow a bit, craft hard cider is still a popular alternative to beer and wine.
Gluten intolerances, a lot of people can't drink some beers because of gluten intolerances, and all of our ciders are gluten-free.
He says there's no reason why the Midwest can't have a place in the hard apple cider world in the future. Lots of land, plenty of resources, and a newfound appetite for a beverage that's been around for a while. For Harvest Public Media, I'm Jack Williams.
You can find tonight's stories on our website, kpbs.org/evening edition. Thanks for joining us. We're going to leave you with one more look at December nights in Balboa Park. Have a great weekend.